Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Comforts Fashion, and my sign language interpreter is Courage Ogieraki. Let's begin with the headlines. President Tinubu leads Nigeria delegations to Tokyo International Conference on Africa Development, with Nigeria hoping to expand its $1 billion trade volume with Japan. A growing rate of global crises continue to engender serious humanitarian issues as the world marks Humanitarian Day. Plus, Ukrainian president confirms his willingness to meet directly with his Russian counterparts to end the war. Nigeria is hoping to expand its $1 billion trade volume with Japan as it also leads African agenda to the 2025 Tokyo International Conference on Africa Development TCAD. President Bola Tinubu, in his first appearance, is leading Nigeria's delegation to the 9th edition of the conference opening this Wednesday in Yokohama. A State House correspondent, Musbaudan Wahab, reports.
Japan-Africa partnership born in 1993 is set to witness a new approach toward addressing developmental issues on the Black continent. Under the TCAD's 9 blanket theme, co-create innovative solutions with Africa, the parties aim to reaffirm commitment to the long-term collaborations with focus on Africa's economic transformation and improvements in the business environment and institutions through private investments and innovation.
In the case of Nigeria,
in the decades of bilaterals, Japan-Nigeria partnership has manifested in the agricultural and power sectors with trade volume at about $1 billion.
And of course, Nigeria exports huge amounts of hydrocarbons to Japan. So we're looking to expand that. You need an industrial base, which is what Nigeria is trying to achieve, which is what President Tinubu is committed to. And that way we can create those jobs for our teeming youths, tackle the issue of unemployment, and of course the macroeconomic reforms of President Tinubu are already in progress, and we're beginning to feel the positive effects.
Continental and global politics are also at stake as Nigeria is hoping for the support of the third largest economy in the world as it aims to strengthen its leading role in Africa with aspiration for seats in global organs including the United Nations Security Council.
So that it leads the way in providing that restructuring of the global financial architecture so that the whole continent would benefit, so that Africa would benefit, and we need to be on the decision-making tables of the world, which is why we need that position in the United Nations Security Council.
President Bola Tinubu in Yokohama is expected to lead African Voice at the conference in addition to bilaterals and meetings with chief executive officers of some Japanese companies with investments in Nigeria. In Yokohama, Musbau and Wahab, NT News.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed his willingness to meet directly with his Russian counterparts to end the war. Just as European Union leaders hold conference on the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Chukunonso Wabwezi has the details.
Speaking to reporters after talks with U.S. President Donald Trump and several European leaders at the White House, Zelensky said he was ready for what would be his first face-to-face meeting with Vladimir Putin since Moscow's invasion nearly 3.5 years ago. Zelensky has come under increasing pressure to cede territory to end the grinding war as Russia makes a series of advances. Ahead of the White House meeting, Trump had pushed Ukraine to give up Crimea and abandon its goal of joining NATO, both key demands made by Putin.
We are very happy with President that all the leaders are here, and the security in Ukraine depends on the United States and on you and on those leaders who are with us in our hearts. They have been online before yesterday.
Rather than concessions from Ukraine, the summit focused on arranging security guarantees in the event of a peace deal.
As a follow-up, we would need probably a quadrilateral meeting, because when we speak about security guarantees, we speak about the whole security of the European continent, and this is why we are all united here with Ukraine on this matter.
Talking about the security not just of Ukraine, we're talking about the security of Europe and the United Kingdom as well, which is why this is such an important issue.
The credibility of these efforts we are undertaking today are depending on at least a ceasefire from the beginning of the serious negotiations from next step on.
Meanwhile, European Council President Antonio Costa on Tuesday hosted a video conference about Ukraine with the EU's 27 leaders. The meeting comes a day after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders gathered in Washington for talks with U.S. President Donald Trump. Chukunon Songwapweze, NTN News.
Nigerian pharmacist turned security specialist and access control officer Walter Fason has won the 2025 Canadian Airports Council CAC National Recognition Award for outstanding performance. Haman Jabani reports that Fason won the award as a security specialist and access control officer of the security company.
200,000 people working directly at airports supporting passenger and cargo operations, and 150 million passengers expected to travel through Canadian's airport in 2025. The award is part of activities marking the celebration of Airport Workers' Day, which is a coordinated national effort to celebrate the Canadian Airport Council's workforce and highlight the vital role aviation plays in the economy and communities. The Canadian Airport Council National Recognition Award, one of the highest recognition of the aviation industry, and Walter Fason became the first ever African-Canadian Nigerian to receive the Canadian Airport Council National Recognition Award. Selected from among 52,000 airport workers, 80 nominees, making him the only African recipient among the 9 that received this year's award at the 16th Canadian Airport ceremony.
We as leaders are extremely grateful for him and how he shows up every single day. I think you'll see it as he comes up here on this stage. I am very pleased to award the Outstanding Service Awards for our very own Walter Fason.
Walter said it was more than an award, as it is a moment of history for Nigeria, for Africa, and for every migrant whose story is still being written, a tribute to the hard work, dedication, and teamwork of every airport worker.
Being the first person to receive CAC Canadian Airport Council Award in history. So it means it's a big recognition for Nigerian youth, perseverance, the ultimate six. Be who you are. You can get to any level you want in your life. Just be optimistic, and I wish the same thing happened to me. I believe our Nigerian youth can do the same thing anywhere they are.
He is recognized for his strong customer service skills, particularly his role at Toronto Pearson International Airport, as his calm demeanor, approachability were noted for helping to prevent potential challenges. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Mediator Qatar on Tuesday confirmed peace engagements between DR Congo and M23. And Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez warns hours ahead in the fight against wildfire ravaging the country despite temperatures dropping. Chukunon Songwabweze reports.
Qatar on Tuesday said DR Congo and M23 rebels are continuing to participate in a peace process, a day after a deadline for the two parties to agree on a broader peace deal expired. A draft agreement to end the fighting between the Democratic Republic of Congo's army and the Rwanda-backed M23 militia has been shared with the government in Kinshasa and armed group.
The good thing is that both parties are engaging very positively. We are engaging with them also very closely, and we are committed to the process, and I think the parties have shown a level of willingness.
In another development, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez on Tuesday warned that difficult hours remain in the fight against wildfires that have ravaged a record area of land. despite temperatures dropping. After 16 days of scorching heat, hitting 40 degrees Celsius in many parts of Spain, Tuesday saw lower temperatures and higher air humidity across the country. The improved weather conditions gave firefighters an edge in their battle against massive fires raging in western Spain that have burned over 100,000 hectares in less than 2 weeks. Tuesday's visit was the Prime Minister's second to the affected areas following a similar trip on Sunday. Scientists say climate change is worsening the frequency and intensity of heat and dryness in parts of Europe, making the region more vulnerable to wildfires. Chukunonsonwa Bueze, NTN News.
Of global crisis has continued to engender serious humanitarian issues, hunger and displacement of people. The development requires humanitarian intervention to make life more meaningful for the victims. In this special report, our disaster management reporter, Ilyas Yakubu, takes a look at the importance of World Humanitarian Day.
Workers across the globe have been engaging in risky activities which more often result in loss of lives and property. In view of this development, the United Nations General Assembly in 2009 designated 19th of August every year to honor the sacrifices of humanitarian workers. Available records indicate that 3,200 humanitarian workers have been killed in their bid to provide aid to people in conflict zones, and only in 2024, 383 humanitarian workers died in conflict zones. World Humanitarian Day 2025 is built to honor humanitarian workers and highlight global humanitarian issues, create awareness to share stories of humanitarian workers and information about ongoing crises. The World Humanitarian Day is also aimed at honoring humanitarian workers who risk their lives to provide aid, raise awareness about global humanitarian issues and crises, promote unity and solidarity in addressing humanitarian challenges.
From Gaza to Sudan to Myanmar and beyond. International law is clear. Humanitarians must be respected and protected. They can never be targeted. This rule is non-negotiable and is binding on all parties to conflict always and everywhere. Yet, red lines are crossed with impunity.
The theme for the World Humanitarian Day 2025 is strengthening global solidarity and empowering local communities, as well as humanity beyond borders, uniting for a safer world. Both themes emphasize the importance of global unity, cooperation, and collaboration in addressing humanitarian crisis. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliakubu, NTN News.
It's 19th August, and the world today marks Humanitarian Day, a time to honor those who help others and to stand with the millions of people whose life hung in the balance. In this report, Ruth Aguele takes a look at government interventions in bridging gaps from humanitarian crisis.
They're called to serve, service for humanity, providing succor to vulnerable groups in war-torn regions or disaster-torn communities. Today, the world celebrates their doggedness, resilience in the face of adversity, as they continue to strive for a better society. It is the World Humanitarian Day, a day to recognize and honor humanitarian workers while promoting advocacy to meet humanitarian needs globally. For Nigeria, the growing concern for displacement that continues to breed as a result of natural and man-made disasters continues to wreak havoc across communities, poses concern for the humanitarian actors.
Nigeria is bleeding, particularly in this area of displacement. For a country to have 6.7 Nigerians being displaced, you know that the magnitude is alarming.
We have developed and redirect the focus of the ministry towards providing durable solution. The National Social Registrar should not be a permanent destination. So also our IDP camps should not be where people remain there permanently. People staying in camp for more than 10 years, I don't think it's acceptable.
This year's message on strengthening global solidarity and empowering local communities is a call to action for nations to adopt global approach by empowering communities to become self-reliant and build resilience, and the federal government, through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, are taking deliberate steps to empower vulnerable groups through its diverse initiatives from skills to grants.
To ensure that one, there is emergency intervention fund that Mr. President granted approval to augment what is currently ongoing, to also work with the international community like the European Union. In the next few days, we are going to reach out to almost 2,199,000 91,000 Nigerians with a rapid cash transfer that will be to the tune of almost 54 billion through the National Social Investment Program Agency, the NSPA, through our government enterprises and empowerment program. We are going to reach about 21,000 Nigerians who are going to be engaged during the dry season farming. They will be given a soft loan that is collateral free.
As the world celebrates this day, it is a call to action to protect those who really matters, who put their lives on the line. And for those who bear the brunt, it is a time for all to act for humanity. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
All right, we'll be back after the short break with more news. This is NTA International. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says it will continue to strengthen collaboration and adopt new strategies in mitigating disasters across the country. Director General of the agency, Zubaida Umar, stated this at a one-day validation workshop on disaster risk reduction documentation in collaboration with United Nations Development Programme. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
Disaster risk reduction mechanisms is a strategy introduced by the United Nations General Assembly in 2014 to change the narrative of disaster management from reactive to proactive for effective mitigation of the menace. Since the introduction of this strategy, NEMA has been strategizing and strengthening collaboration to manage the situation with the use of the new strategy. This stakeholders validation workshop is therefore on a draft development of the National Disaster Risk Reduction Strategy 2025 to 2030, an action plan from 2025 to 2028. The DG NEMA, represented by the Director Disaster Risk Reduction of the agency, Ishaya Chinuku, maintained that the agency will continue to harmonize efforts from stakeholders in meeting the target of disaster risk reduction in Nigeria.
So the National Disaster Risk Reduction Strategy 2025 to 2030 and the Action Plan 2025 to 2028 is therefore a timely and necessary strategic document designed to strengthen and institutionalize resilience across critical sectors of the country.
Other speakers, including the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Women Affairs, Dr. Mariam Ismaila, said all hands must be on deck to collaborate in the fight against flood disaster.
We must always remember that disasters, whether natural or human-induced, are not gender neutral. Women, children, persons with disabilities, and the elderly are disproportionately affected.
Nigeria's disaster risk reduction strategy is more than a document. It is a blueprint for action. It will guide our efforts to reduce disaster risks, protect lives and livelihoods, and ensure no community is left behind.
The validation workshop experts believe that the sustained strategy can go a long way in reducing the hazards faced by flood victims. In Abuja, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
Soil scientists and agriculturists are advocating sensitization on fertilizer application and adoption of climate-smart agriculture technology towards attaining food security. This was discussed at the 2025 Annual Policy Dialogue on Soil, Climate and Agriculture Sustainability held in Abuja. Musa Babaliu reports.
This gathering brings together experts, farmers and academics to discuss one of the most critical resources in crop production, soil. The multi-stakeholder forum is dedicated to advancing dialogue and action on soil health and the impact of climate change.
Provide solutions that will help to reinvigorate the environment and therefore towards a better health for all.
The first topic addressed was fertilizer application and its effects on soil health.
So we also take into consideration that some of these fertilizer might affect the soil. So what do we need to do at that point in time to look at what are the organic amendments we can add to them to minimize that impact of soil acidification and degradation.
Discussions also focused on climate-smart agriculture as a potential solution to global warming. The Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Aliusabi Abdullahi, represented at the event, announced that a soil health policy has been drafted and will soon be made public. The annual policy dialogue on soil is expected to provide advisory guidance to the government and research institutions on effective soil management. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The need for stakeholders to collaborate and mobilize resources towards reducing housing deficits in Nigeria has been stressed. This was the thrust of presentation at the twin inauguration of the Federal Housing Authority Express View Estate and Site Office Complex at Lugbe. Francis Udojo has the details.
In Nigeria, an estimated housing deficit of 28 million exists and is of concern to most Nigerians due to the challenges associated with owning a decent and affordable house. The FHA 50 units Express View Estate Phase 1, comprising terraces and flats, has now been inaugurated by the Minister of Housing, Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry. The gesture is seen as a drive toward the realization of President Tinubu's Renewed Hope Housing Delivery Plan to all categories of Nigerians.
For me, this event is not just about cutting a ribbon. It's about showing Nigerians that progress is possible. It's also about reminding us all that the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is real, and that true institutions like the FHA were bringing that vision to life.
For the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the FHA, Oyetunde Oladimeji Ojo, completing abandoned and all ongoing projects across the nation is a mandate that must be achieved with plan to deliver more housing units across the country. Construction, he said, has commenced in 17 states.
Dwelling less on the challenges we met and focusing on the future, our management decided to adopt phased completion of the projects we inherited and getting Nigerians into the houses rather than waiting for when the entire projects will be completed.
Also inaugurated is the FHA Site Office Complex, housing a shop mall and FHA Mortgage Bank. Francis Udojo, NT News.
Winners of the August 16th by-elections will receive certificate of return Thursday and Friday this week. INEC National Commissioner for Information, Sam Olumekan, in a statement says National Assembly members-elect will be presented with the certificates in Abuja and State Assembly members-elect at INEC state offices. The statement further clarifies that winners of the two court-ordered State Assembly rerun elections in Kano and Enugu have been declared. However, the Commission will conclude the Kauranamoda South State constituency election of Zamfara State on Thursday, 21st of August 2025. President Bola Tinubu has extended his heartfelt condolences to Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo of Kogi State on the passing of his father, Alhaji Ahmed Momo Sani Ododo. The president stressed that his thoughts and prayers are with the Ododo family, friends, and the people of Kogi State as they mourn the deceased. Alhaji Momo Sani died on Monday after the 2 p.m. Muslim prayers at 83. President Tinubu describes the deceased as a respected community leader whose legacy is evident in the accomplishments of the children he nurtured. He prays for the peaceful repose of the soul of the departed and God's comforts for the bereaved family, friends, and associates. Before we go, let's take a look at Wednesday's weather forecast in Nigeria and other parts of the world. And Weather Report concludes the news on the hour. Thanks for watching. I am Comfort Fashion, and my sign language interpreter is Courage Ugiriaki.